Okay, so now that we know the vocabulary and how to name angles on a plane where you have parallel lines and a transversal, that naming comes in handy whenever we have to decide what I have to do to find the missing angle. So, just to break it down for you, the three angles that start with an S. So, we have supplementary, otherwise known as a linear pair. Remember, these are two that form a straight line. They come together to form a straight line. So supplementary, same side interior, which means they're inside the parallel lines and on the same side of the transversal. Same side exterior, which means they're on the outside of the parallel lines but on the same side of the transversal. All three of these, so whichever one you name them, because it starts with an S, they have a sum of 180. So that means you add the two angles together and it equals 180, which means if you're missing one of those angles, then you just subtract from 180. Then you have the other side of it, which is your ones that don't start with an S. So we have vertical, which is those, remember, like those two V's that point towards each other. Corresponding, think of same position in two different groups. Alternate interior, that means they're inside the parallel lines, but they're on opposite corners. They're not next to each other, but on opposite sides. And alternate exterior, which means they're on the outside of the parallel lines and they're on opposite sides as well, not next to each other. So the naming is really important because whenever you name it one of these, vertical, corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, they don't equal 180, they equal each other. Okay, so one equals the other. So if I look at number 1, this is what you're going to practice today. They want us to find this missing angle. Well, first we need to name it. So because one's inside, one's outside, and you think about it as two different groups here, they're in the same position. This is called corresponding. And since it's corresponding, I know my angles are equal, which means if this is 58 degrees, then so is this. So my answer is just 58. If I look at number 2, if I look at where 60 and the question mark are, the positions they're in, they're both inside, so it's interior, and they're on opposite sides, so that's alternate interior. Since it's alternate interior, that means they're equal to each other again, which means since this is 60, this is also 60. So my answer is C. Number 3 is similar to number 1. Think of it as being in the same position. They're both in the top right corner of their group. This is called corresponding. Since they are corresponding, that means they're equal to each other, which means if this is 54, this is also 54. If I look at number 4, where the positions are, they're both inside, so they're interior, and they're both on the same side. They're both on the right side of the transversal. So this is same side interior. Since it starts with an S, that means it has a sum of 180, which means this plus this equals 135. So if I know that together they make 180, then 180 minus 135 will tell me what that missing angle is. So the missing angle is 45. All you do is subtract from 180. If I look at number 5, the positions where the angles are, they're both outside, so that's exterior. And they're on opposite sides of the transversal, so that's alternate exterior, which doesn't start with an S, so that means they're equal to each other. So if this is 109, this is 109. Number 6, where this square is, we know that that square means 90 degrees. And then this question mark is, think of it as the same position. They're both on that bottom left, which means they're called corresponding. Since they are corresponding, that means they're equal to each other. So since this is 90 degrees, this is also 90 degrees. If I look at number 7, where the positions are, we have both outside, so that means they're both exterior. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, so that's alternate exterior. And since it starts with an A, that means they're equal to each other, which means if this is 135, this is 135. If I look at number 8, look at where 92 and the question mark are. Think of it like two V's pointed towards each other. Since they're V for vertical, that means they're equal to each other as well. So that means if this is 92 degrees, this is 92 degrees. Number 9, this one's the trickiest for some people because they see this and they think, oh, that's alternate exterior, but one's inside, one's outside. Then they think they're corresponding, but corresponding means they're in two different groups. If you look at it, 65 and the question mark are right next to each other. This is what makes that linear pair most people forget about, which means theirs is called supplementary, otherwise known as linear pair. And supplementary means they equal 180. So to find that missing angle, you just do 180 minus 65, and you get 115 as that missing angle. If I look at number 10, 140 and the question mark, they're both outside, so that's exterior. They're both on the same side of the transversal, so same side exterior. Since it starts with an S, that means they have a sum of 180, which means if I do 180 minus 140 and get the missing angle, which is exactly 40. If I look at number 11, both are inside, so that means interior. They're on opposite sides, so that's alternate interior. And since it's alternate interior, that means they're equal to each other, which means if this is 133, this is 133. Last but not least, number 12. Again, these are, a lot of people want to call them alternate interior because they see they're both inside and they look like they're on opposite sides. But remember, alternate interior doesn't mean they're next to each other. Next to each other is called supplementary or linear pair. So together they make 180. So to find that missing angle, 180 minus 78 is 102. So it all comes down to being able to name it. Remember, if it's supplementary, otherwise known as linear pair, same side interior, same side exterior, it equals 180. If it's vertical corresponding alternate interior or alternate exterior, they're equal to each other.